What's going on, you guys? So I just wrapped up a 6-day long job in Sedona, Arizona, and as such, I didn't really have any time to make something fancy for this upload, but instead of making nothing, I decided we'll do something that we haven't done on this channel yet, and that is my first Q&A. So you guys asked me your questions in the comments and on Instagram, and today we're gonna be answering them. Okay, first question. What do you call a cow with no legs? Ground beef, obviously, Keaton. How do you make money while on the road? I've been wanting to get into van life and do photography as well, but finances have been the biggest question I've had in that area. So, like I just said, I was just working this job in Sedona. That job was pretty much freelance filmmaking, which is how I make most of my income. I work on a gig work basis as a freelance contractor, and I like that because it allows me to pick up jobs when I need to, and then also have large periods of time where I don't need to be generating income, which obviously allows me to do things like work on this YouTube channel or go make photos in nature somewhere. As far as being a professional photographer, I'm not sure if I'm the person to ask about that, because I kind of keep my photography for myself. It's like therapy to me. I don't really do it for money. I do obviously exploit it for this YouTube channel, but that feels a little bit different. As far as van dwelling goes, I would definitely say figure out the finances and the income before you take that dive, because you need to have some sort of income while you're on the road. You want to have some remote work or a large buffer of savings. It's definitely not something you want to figure out later. Yeah. What's one way your photography has changed since you started film? It's gotten way more expensive. When do you plan to move out of the van? Yeah, I'm hungering for more community and stability in my life, but that doesn't mean that I don't want to still have van adventures. I think establishing a home base, but still doing a bunch of, van adventures and spending a lot of time on the road is, I think, the healthy balance for the future. And that future might be approaching fairly soon. I don't have any questions, but I just want to say I love your videos. They got me into film photography. Thank you, Ryder. I'm honored to receive that. How do you find the motivation to go out and shoot when you're in a creative slump? When it comes to videos, I rarely find myself in a creative slump. I find that I have tons and tons of ideas and things that I want to make. It's more an issue of having limited resources and energy to act upon those things. Got a big backlog of projects that I want to make, and I want to do all of them, but I have to balance all the other things in my life along with that. When it comes to photos, however, I think that if I ever find myself in a rut creatively, it's usually because my expectations are too high. If I try and impose what I want on a scene or something like that, then sometimes it's not going to go the way you want it to go. And I think the best thing that I've done in those scenarios is to just reconnect to why you love film photography, or why you love photography in the first place, which is the act of going and finding and discovering and shooting photos. If I go out without any expectations and I just start capturing things that I think are cool, then lo and behold, soon enough the juices start flowing and you're having fun and making work that you're proud of. And so go with it. Let it lead you. Let it tell you what to shoot. Don't try and be a control freak, which is something I'm very good at. How do you take a video of you driving away? Do you have to drive back to get your camera? Yes, it's terrifying. I literally leave the camera on the tripod and I just drive away from it. Naturally, I try and choose places where people won't even notice the camera, or where there's not like a lot of foot traffic, so the odds of it being seen and stolen are pretty low, but that doesn't make it any less nerve-wracking. And so I literally set it up, drive away, come back, breathe a big sigh of relief that it's still there, and yeah, sometimes that's just what the scene calls for. I'm not super worried about the camera being stolen as much as I am about the footage. I've had moments where I'm like, oh my God, it's definitely gonna get stolen. Oh my God, I should have backed up the footage before I left it out there. Oh my God, someone's gonna steal my whole video. Someone's gonna make my video without me and upload it, and they're gonna get all the subs. Okay, that thought's never actually happened. You get the point. Any plan to start large format? I recently got into large format and trying to document my journey and having quite fun so far. I would really like to try large format at some point. I think the limiting factors are space. I don't know where I would fit an 8x10 camera in the van. I'm kind of maxed out in here. And money. I already spend so much money on film as it is, and the last thing I need to do at this point in time while I'm trying to keep costs down and focus on this YouTube channel is to start shooting the most expensive film photos you can possibly shoot. So yeah, one day I'd like to do large format, one day I'd like to do darkroom printing and all the things, but not right now. Favorite unusual film stock and why? Definitely the Kodak Gold 800 speed that comes loaded in those FunSaver disposable cameras. I don't really buy disposable cameras anymore, and they very rarely come into my life, but if they ever do, I would much rather harvest the film out of them than shoot it in the plastic housing and through the plastic lens. And just, yeah, disposable cameras, thumbs down. But yeah, if you do want to harvest film out of a disposable camera, just keep in mind that when you're winding it, that sound is actually you winding the film back into the canister, which is the opposite of a normal 35mm camera where you're winding the film out as you shoot it, and then you have to wind it back in at the end. So yeah, if you have a disposable camera that you want to harvest the film from, cover the lens, fire all the photos so they're black, no light hits the film, open it up, pull out the film, and then you'll have to retrieve the film leader, pull the film leader out, shoot it in a regular camera. Kodak Gold, 800, they don't sell that, woohoo! My friend Olivia says, when are you cashing in those damn ass film rolls? Love your work. Any advice for a fresh high school graduate that's interested in pursuing van life or just traveling in general, as well as being a pro photographer? The one recommendation that I can make is just do a lot of car camping. If you haven't done car camping before, just get the bare essentials like the tent and the sleeping bag and something to cook your food with, and just head out in your car into the middle of the wilderness and see how you fare. You'll learn a lot of things. You'll have a great time. It'll be kind of rough sometimes, but if you can do that, you can definitely live in a van. The hard part about van life is getting into the van. And so whether you're planning on buying one or converting one, I would just say budget more money than you think is necessary, because they are complicated little homes and they might look simple on the internet, but they're not. This one constantly requires maintenance and upkeep and yeah, lots of things. And again, as far as being a professional photographer, I'm not really the person to ask on that, sorry. Do really good work and build a portfolio of things that you want to shoot. I really enjoy how polished your uploads are, whatever they are about, lifestyle or photography. I wonder if we can get a BTS videos one day from scripting to shooting process. Yeah, I think that can definitely be in the pipeline. I definitely want to diversify the topics that we talk about on this channel, because we talk about a lot of photography, but I'm just as passionate about filmmaking, if not more passionate about it, and we don't really talk about that on here. So yeah, the tangential answer to that question is that one day I would like to make an everything I know about filmmaking course. And I think, you know, it would have to be a course because the YouTube algorithm would absolutely hate it. It would be a bit too drawl for the average watcher, but I think that I have a lot of things and unique perspectives that I could share on filmmaking and the way that I've made it work for me. And yeah, I think it's something that I feel compelled to share, but that's not going to be possible until the YouTube channibalism, the YouTube channel is sustainable enough for me to be able to do that as a work on that instead of doing freelance work. Yeah, because otherwise it would cannibalize my channel. I would be such a terrible comedian. If you could pick one camera, one lens, and one film stock, which ones would you pick and why? Thank you for the amazing content and inspiration. This is probably the boring, vanilla Honey Nut Cheerios answer, but I would definitely have to say my Mamiya 7 II, the 65mm f4 lens and Portra 400. I just feel like I can shoot pretty much anything that I want with that combination. Maybe I would say Portra 800 and then just like throw me a bone and put an ND filter on the front. Yeah, if necessary. 800, I choose 800. Where do you see photography content creation heading in 5 years? That's a good question. I can't really speak to where everybody else is trying to take it. I can really only talk about what I'm trying to do with my own channel. And I'm really trying to shift the needle towards well-articulated, visually engaging, story-driven videos. Stuff that's approachable for beginners, entertaining for those who already shoot, and that inspires everybody who sees it to just get out with their camera just a little bit more often. What is your favorite place on Earth and why? I have so many, but if I had to nail it down to one, it would probably almost unequivocally be my family cabin on the Oregon coast. Back in the 60s, my grandfather, with the help of my grandma, my mom, my aunt, my uncle, built this beautiful cabin on the central Oregon coast. And I have very wonderful, nostalgic childhood memories that have happened there. And now that I spend more time in Oregon, I get to spend an abundance more time there. And it is just such a treat. That place is magical, not just the cabin, but the whole area around it. And now that my grandfather has passed, he passed a few years ago at the age of 97, that's kind of like his legacy. It's this immense gift that he gave to everyone in the family, and it is truly a great privilege to have that, to have access to that place. You can get a little bit of a taste of it if you go back to a video that I made, I think this time last year, called Alone on the Oregon Coast with a Box of Portra. Yeah. This next one's from my friend Max, who was just with me at that event in Sedona. And he's a great creative partner to me, and he is also a very talented storyteller, and I'm gonna link his stuff below. You should go check it out because he's wonderful in his own right. But this one's from Max, and it says, what words of encouragement would you have given to Cody before starting the journey of recommitting to regular YouTube sharing? Words of encouragement. I think just know that all the hard stuff is necessary, and that the failures are necessary too. And there's nothing wrong with feeling like it's not going the way that you want it to go. It's all part of the process, and the failures and the hard parts and things like, I don't know, having to re-record videos or just all the things that seem unfair are in fact the spurs to your growth, and they have valuable lessons inside of them, and you shouldn't try and cheat yourself out of them. All right, we've got one more from Max. He says, what has been one of the lovely surprises that has come after a year plus on YouTube? I would say that I have discovered my unique voice as a storyteller far more than I had thought was possible before. You know, my earliest videos, I had useful things to say, but I was not saying them in my own voice necessarily. And I feel like now I don't need to try and augment my stuff off of the things that other people have made before me. I feel like now I know how to say the things I want to say the way I want to say them. Not to have overbearing mom energy, but how do you see your YouTube career progressing as viable income? Do you think you have long-term goals and ideas in mind? I only do it part-time, so I'm sure you have a lot more thoughts. So back in 2020, in September, you guys probably already know this story, I started taking this YouTube channel seriously. And that was with the long-term goals in mind. This has always been the long game. I told myself back then that it was gonna take at least 3 years until I had this thing kind of figured out. And I also told myself that it was gonna take 100 videos before I was able to make this sustainable financially. And we're at just over 2 years now, and we're at video 46. This video will be number 46. I actually have a piece of white gaff tape up here with 100 boxes on it. And we can see what the first video was, and we can see this next one is 46, and there are 55 empty boxes yet to be filled. So yes, there is a long-term plan. The long-term plan is to keep sacrificing and keep doing the work, even if it's not really paying the bills, because I believe in the work that we're doing here. And I believe that you guys, as well as people who have yet to discover this channel, are going to appreciate a channel that is founded on things that I'm passionate about, made with passion, not looking to exploit you guys, and yeah, just something real, something meaningful, made by somebody who cares. There will reach a point, I'm certain of it, where I will be able to sustain myself solely off this YouTube endeavor. But I'm not trying to force that to happen. You have to water the seed in order for it to grow. Hey Cody, love the YouTube channel and hope to see you grow. 2 questions I have is, why did you decide to pursue film photography? And if you also do digital photography, which of the 2 formats do you prefer and why? Wait, if you do ever read this, I just came up with a better question. How does film photography help capture your creative vision in a way that digital can't or doesn't? So yeah, I have shot both. I primarily shot on digital up until a couple of years ago. I used to shoot in a very traditional landscape photography way. And long story short, though I made some really beautiful images that way, it started to feel more like work than it did like play. And shooting film has really brought the creative challenge and discovery and adventure back into it in a way that digital just wasn't really doing for me anymore. I am planning on making a full video on film versus digital where I organize all of my thoughts, because I think that that is a pretty interesting topic that a lot of people want to hear about, but I will save all further thoughts for that video. Any tips for a good photography portfolio? Yes, so maybe this isn't as much a tip as it is like a general observation, but I've noticed that in a lot of portfolios, the one thing that kind of cues me into the fact that a photographer does not have as much experience as their website might be trying to communicate that they do is there's not enough diversity in their portfolio. You'll see photos of the same model from the same shoot, or the same landscape just in like different angles. And it might not be true, but what that communicates is that they don't have enough experience to have enough work to have a diverse portfolio. And so, you know, I get it if like you had a really good shoot and there's a bunch of images in there that you really like, but trim it down to one, the one best one, and then just make your portfolio a collection of the one best ones from a bunch of different diverse shoots or landscapes or whatever kind of photography you shoot. Yeah, obviously the goal is to have enough experience in shoots and imagery under your belt where making a diverse portfolio is easy. But until that point, I would definitely say limit it down to the diverse, select, best few as much as possible. What are your thoughts on Fujifilm's film simulations? I've never used them. I've never used a Fuji digital camera, but I think it's cool that those are there. I don't know if they're close to what actual film looks like, or if it's even possible to actually get that look out of a digital sensor. But yeah, if anybody could make it work, it would probably be Fuji. I'd be interested to try someday, but I really don't know. Would you recommend film for the inexperienced photographer? Definitely, but I would do it in a way where your knowledge of photography isn't necessary. Like, get a point and shoot or get something that's automatic. If you were gonna get like an SLR, I would get something that you can put into program, just so that you don't, you know, get discouraged early on by a fully manual camera. And then, yeah, get something that you can grow into, but that will kind of cradle your abilities until then. Hey Cody, hope you're doing well. My question is, would you ever release a video editing tutorial because your color grading is unreal? Yeah, video editing is a very vast topic that you could spend like a whole course just teaching video editing, but color grading is a bit more simple, I guess. Big asterisk on that one. But yeah, those are definitely topics that I'd like to explore in the future. Behind the scenes of your photography, what is your life like? What drives you to continue doing this passion? This passion, I honestly don't know what I would do if I wasn't doing this. This is the one thing that I feel called to do, so anything else kind of feels like a compromise. But my life, what is my life like? I love my life. I definitely don't think it's very conventional, and I definitely have things that I would like to work on with it, but I'm super grateful. I get to spend a lot of time traveling. I have a community of friends and family here in Southern California. I have a community of friends and family in Oregon. I have family in Australia, and I get to do a lot of traveling. I get to see a lot of beautiful things, and that's not been by accident. I think I've done a good job of prioritizing the things that make me feel most alive and the way that I want to live my life. And it's only been in the last couple of years that those things have finally come to fruition. And so I feel very, very grateful to be where I am. Did you major in photography during college, and would you recommend anyone to do so? I did not major in photography. I've actually never taken a photography class. Pretty much everything I know about photography has been either self-taught through experimentation or books or a few select video courses back in the day. I don't know if I would recommend majoring in photography because, well, I can't speak to that, but I do think that everyone should be exposed to photography somehow, and maybe that is taking a class on photography in college, because it doesn't mean you have to be a photographer, but that also doesn't mean that photography can't be a source of joy for you and for everyone. And I think photography is amazing and everyone should be exposed to it. So if you're thinking about taking a photography class, do it. If you're thinking about pursuing photography as a major, I don't know, maybe not. I find your content always thought-provoking and a source of inspiration. What or who are some sources of inspiration to you? That rhymed. Got a couple other questions here about inspiration. What's some inspiration behind your work? What inspires you the most? And who has inspired you, and will you ever try out street photography? Okay, so we got who inspires me, what inspires me, inspiration behind my work, and will I ever try out street photography? Which one doesn't fit? So street photography, let's do that one first. Will I ever try it? Yeah, I find it really intriguing. It's completely different from the way that I shoot, and it looks like a fun creative challenge. I would really like to try it. Not right now though, in the future, one day, we'll make a video about it. Okay, back to inspiration. So what inspires me the most? Definitely nature and music. The effect that they have on me is beyond words, and that's why I try and capture them in my videos. Using them in my work is really the only way that I can properly communicate the things about them that I feel without trying to put them into the little boxes that are words. As far as who inspires me, I like to think that I have a relatively diverse taste when it comes to movies, music, and art. But the people, the creators, the artists who inspire me the most are usually those who are really good storytellers, or those who are, experimenting and pushing the boundaries of their art form. People like Stanley Kubrick, Kendrick Lamar, Tomas Sanchez, Ansel Adams, Odessa, Quentin Tarantino, Kevin Parker, Bauer, Hayao Miyazaki, Christopher Nolan, Wes Anderson. I could go on and on and on. There's probably an inexhaustible list of talented people who fit that criteria, and many of them that I'm not even aware of. And that's just one of the wonderful things about being alive when we are today and having access to these people through the internet. Now, that's not to say that I don't think that there are a bunch of really wonderful, inspiring people within the photography niche, but I view them a little bit differently. With people outside of my niche, like all those people I previously mentioned, I think it's great to draw inspiration from and borrow some of their ideas and use their influence to create your own stuff. But when it comes to people within your niche, I think the mistake a lot of people make is to copy someone. If you're making a photography channel and you're looking to see how you can succeed, the logical thing is to go, oh, well, what are they doing? What's working for them? How can I do that? But we just end up recycling the same ideas, and then things become stale. And so, you know, I think there are great people in the community like Dan Tom, Nick Carver, Jason from Grainy Days, so many people. Ruben with so many talented photographers and filmmakers that are creating stuff about photography. But I think when it comes to inspiration with those people, it's important to not try and copy them. It's important to admire that they have been able to create something of their own and use that as inspiration for doing something of your own. Okay, and we've got time for one more question. If aliens picked up you, your van, and all your camera gear and asked where to be dropped off, what country would you like to travel across? Aliens? Sweet. Well, I've thought about taking the van to Europe a couple times, and you know, doing that kind of adventure over there is still something that I'd like to do. But the one place that I really want to adventure in the van is also, coincidentally, the one place that I can't really take the van, and that is Australia. I have family in Australia. I'm half Australian. I'm an Australian citizen, and you know, despite having visited throughout my life, I've still seen so very little of that incredible country. And so it's a bucket list goal of mine to travel in a van around the country, circumnavigate it, divide it up, conquer it, see all the things that I can possibly see, including Tasmania. But I can't really take this van there because it would need to be converted to right-hand drive. The Aussie border security is really strict for good reason. They've had a lot of issues with invasive species because they're an island nation. So that's something that I will have to do with a new van, whether that means converting another one in Australia or buying one in Australia. That's definitely something that is on the horizon, probably pretty distant horizon, but whenever it does happen, I will definitely be taking you guys along for it. Thank you all for your questions and for hanging out with me and just for being here for this whole thing. I don't know if I can say thank you enough times, but I'm gonna keep saying it. So yeah, I'm gonna go sink my teeth into some freelance projects that I gotta get out of the way before I can work on some more of my own stuff, but I will see you guys on the other side of all of that. So, thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.